The overall goal here with the Doge team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country a $2 trillion deficit. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending like over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt.
We're cutting down government. We're cutting down the size of government. We have to. We're bloated. We're sloppy. We have a lot of people that aren't doing their job. We want to have a balanced budget within a reasonably short period of time, meaning maybe by next year or the year after, but maybe even sooner than that.
President Trump and Elon Musk discussing Doge's priorities at yesterday's cabinet meeting. The president signed an executive order giving more power to the cost-cutting agency to scrutinize federal payments and travel expenses to balance the budget in America. Joining me now is Georgia Congressman Andrew Clyde. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I know you've got your own bill repealing the Impoundment Control Act, which allows the president to cut any amount of funding from any program without congressional approval. That's big. Tell us more.
Well, good morning, Maria. Yes, the 1974 Impoundment Control Act basically gave the president or the executive branch a floor for their spending. And what he should have is a ceiling. You know, if the president can accomplish what Congress has intended, faithfully execute the law, and he can do it for less money than what Congress appropriates, then that's exactly what should happen. And he should be able to achieve savings, achieve cost cuts, achieve efficiency for the American people.
Well, I mean, now the Democrats are complaining about cuts to Medicaid. I mean, you and your colleagues are now facing a March 14th government shutdown deadline while moving forward with the recently passed budget resolution. But some Senate Republicans are already taking issue with the House's budget over concerns that the Energy Committee will have to dip into Medicaid. The fund requested $880 billion in savings. How will you square that? Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson says it doesn't go far enough on reductions. He wants spending brought down to pre-pandemic levels. We know what happened as a result of the pandemic. Way too much spending. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the House bill doesn't have enough funds to extend the Trump tax cuts indefinitely, while also paying for other priorities like the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Your thoughts. The bill provides $4.5 trillion over the next 10 years to make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. How do you see this playing out?
Well, for one thing, the $4.5 trillion in tax cuts is based on $2 trillion in spending cuts, in savings. And we have a ratchet mechanism in it where if we can increase the savings, then we can increase the amount of money available for tax cuts. So if we can go to 2.5, then we can go to 5 on the tax cut side. So it's a mechanism that does not give a ceiling for cost savings, and that's why we did it that way. We can satisfy the Senate if they have a desire for more tax or more savings, more spending cuts, but on the tax side, on the tax cut side, we can increase that as well. So it's a phenomenal resolution, a great way to have done it, and the Senate needs to take it up and pass it, so that we can get on with this process.
Jessica, jump in here.
Congressman Clyde, thank you for being with us. We saw yesterday nearly a unanimous House Republican vote on this budget bill. What do you think that means to the American people, and how important do you think it is when we're talking about unity and how Republicans plan to govern in the House?
Well, it shows tremendous unity on the Republican side to have gotten together and literally from both ends of the spectrum, 100% of the Freedom Caucus voted for this bill. We got in early and made sure that it had the spending cuts, the spending savings, and the money available to take care of these tax cuts in this particular bill. So it is a great bill. I think moving forward, there's going to be some challenges for it, but that's okay. I think we're up to the challenge. I think we'll pass it. It implements President Trump's complete agenda, as he said in his tweet. And so we're going to move forward with that because that's what the American people have demanded when they gave President Trump his mandate in November.
So what's Thomas Massey's problem with it?
Well, I think you're going to have to ask Thomas Massey that. Okay. He and I don't necessarily agree on the projected numbers, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. We're allowed to disagree.
Yeah. You and Arizona Congressman Eli Crane are drafting articles of impeachment against 2 district judges who've been blocking President Trump's agenda. They include Judge John McConnell, who temporarily blocked Trump from pausing federal grants and loans, then there's Judge Paul Engelmeyer, who agreed to stop Trump officials from accessing a payment system within the Treasury Department. Where is this going?
Well, I think we're going to have these impeachment articles out very quickly. Eli has his out. Mine will be coming out very soon. But this is an activist. Actually, these are multiple activist judges on the bench that are trying to usurp legitimate Article 2 executive power. Remember, the first line of Article 2 in the Constitution says that executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. That's President Trump. That means everything that the executive does flows through him as the elected representative, elected by the people as the executive, as the president of the United States. So this judge has no authority whatsoever to tell the president that he cannot exercise his legitimate Article 2 authority, which is why when they show themselves like this, they show that they are biased and therefore they need to be removed from the bench. And that's why these articles of impeachment are so important.
So you think this is all politics, that it's not actually issues with the way you're doing things, but just activist judges against
Absolutely.
Trump?
Absolutely. And if they want to become politicians, then they should resign and they should go get elected. But these judges who are appointed for life, all right, are making these activist decisions to try and take down what the president has a mandate to do. And that is absolutely wrong. So Congress is the only ability then to remove these judges lays with Congress. And the Constitution says we have the power of impeachment and we will use it.
And of course, President Trump will be addressing the Congress on Tuesday night. What are you expecting from the big speech coming Tuesday night, Congressman?
I'm looking forward to it. It's a return of the president of 45, now 47. So it's going to be a historic evening, and really excited about it. Really, really excited to hear what the president has to say.
All right, Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Maria.
Andrew Clyde on Capitol Hill.